Welcome back. We are continuing now. We are going to start tonight the first chapter. Actually, we're going to start and complete probably the first chapter because the first chapter is very, very short. Far shorter than the compiler's foreword that we've been learning until now. Just to remind you, we've been studying the introduction, Amar HaMachaber, thus says the compiler, which Rabenu Bachaye puts at the beginning of this Shaar HaBitachon. And the function of the introduction is basically to sell us on bitachon, to feature the attractive points or the advantages or the benefits of having trust in Hashem. And I mentioned, I think the last year or the one before, that if you don't yet have bitachon, you're still more in a selfish mode. So you kind of need this "what's in it for me" salesmanship. Why should I have bitachon? Well, how will it benefit me? Obviously, after you have bitachon, then you're beyond that. But the preface is very much about selling us on bitachon. So I'm just going to read the end of the preface where he sums up the preface and then he introduces or gives like a little index, so to speak, to all the chapters that are going to be coming. Okay, so here's the text. V'keven shebiyarti mitoyales habitachon belakim v'hanoisav b'Torah uva'olam mashin is damin li. Now, since I have explained the benefits of trusting in Hashem and the advantages, or perhaps the advantages and the benefits, both in regards to Torah, one's spiritual life, as well as Olam, one's secular life, or God forbid to say that a Jew has any secular life, but in your mundane affairs, as occurs to me, whatever occurred to me as the selling points of bitachon. Avo'er ata, I'm going to explain now, me'inyan bitachon shiva dvarim, the actual concept of bitachon in 7 ways, 7 aspects of bitachon. In other words, we didn't really explain what bitachon is yet. You were wondering, well, what is this bitachon? Yeah, well, that was the point. The preface was to get you hooked. This bitachon sounds great. I got to get some, but tell me more about it, right? So it did its job. After we've explained the benefits, the tayalus that one has, or the toyalois, the benefits, plural, that one gets, and the hana, the advantages. Now we're going to explain what bitachon actually is. And that's what the chapters are all going to be. There are 7 chapters. Echad mehem, one of them. Mahu bitachon. What is bitachon? V'hasheni, the second. B'sibas bitachon ala bruyim. The causes, what would induce trust in the created beings? Why would a creation or created being, why would a human have trust? What cases would foster a sense of trust? Vashlishi, the third, bebir hagdomis asher ba'avuran yischayev bitachon belakim v'chiyav ha'esek b'sibais. The grounds that make it obligatory to trust in Hashem, and at the same time, not a contradiction, to employ means to gain a livelihood. We spoke about this actually earlier, that Rabenu Bachaye is going to explain it's not a contradiction. Varavi, the fourth thing, the instances in which trust is applicable, where it is praiseworthy, and where it is reprehensible. In other words, there is such a concept as misplaced bitachon, and we're going to find out what that is. That's chapter 4. The chamishi, the fifth thing, behafresh yesh bein esek habaytech belakim besibis hateref. The difference between the way one who trusts in Hashem employs a means of obtaining a livelihood and the way one who does not trust in Hashem employs means of making a livelihood. Vashishi, and the sixth thing. Bibur ofnechi of gnus das ha'emrim bariches hatayvis ba'elam. It's an explanation of the different ways one is obligated to condemn the view of those who advocate protracted pleasure-seeking in this world, umeyachlim nafshoisam, and they have the hope, their sole hopes, bekabolas avedis alakim, that they will accept upon themselves serving Hashem, or the service of Hashem, ki sheyagiu lecheftzam bay, when they have fulfilled these desires. In other words, these are the people who say that, bitachon is very good, but let me first make sure that I'm having pleasure in this world, and then I'll get to my bitachon. So the Rabenu Bachaye refers to these people with an interesting name. Actually, we mentioned it in the introduction. V'heim balei hamashkoinos. These are called balei hamashkoinos, the collateral collectors. They take a mashkoin, they take a pledge. Like when somebody gives a loan and he doesn't know if it'll be paid, so he wants to secure the debt, he takes a pledge. You know about the guy, the Jewish businessman who came to Chase Manhattan Bank, the branch down in Manhattan. You know that one, Chase Manhattan down in Manhattan, right? The big one, in the fancy, in the skyscraper there. Anyway, so he comes down there and he says, I want to take out a loan for $1,000. So $1,000, okay, they pull the credit, he passes the credit, they give him a loan for $1,000, but they say, hold on a second, you need collateral. He says, well, I'll tell you what, I got my Rolls Royce out front, here are the keys, you can take the car. They said, okay, fine, that's good collateral. Because that's the way they do things at Chase Manhattan Bank. You just give them the actual physical car right there. Anyways, don't worry about it. It's worth it. Okay, you're gonna be happy you followed along with this. Anyways, so then the guy, he leaves, and he comes back a month later. And after he comes back to pay the loan, so the president of the bank is waiting for him, and he says, sir, while you were away, we were very curious about the loan. We looked into your financial portfolio, and we see that you're worth $500 million. And it's kind of strange. We were wondering, you took out a 30-day loan for $1,000. Why would you need a $1,000 loan for 30 days? So the businessman says, let me ask you something. What was the collateral? He says, well, we took your Rolls Royce. We parked it in the garage of the bank, right? Because the bank has a garage. That's where the employees park. This is also important for the joke. So a lot of work to. Okay, I hope this will be worth it. Anyways, so so I gave you the collateral, the car. I gave you my Rolls Royce, right, for 30 days. Yeah, it was a 30-day loan, right? Okay, and now I came back. I had to pay the loan, $1,000 that I borrowed, right? Plus the interest on the loan, $11. Yeah, it was $11. That's right. He says, and for 30 days I've been gone, right? So 30 days, yeah. He says, 30 days I went on a business trip for a month. Yeah, and now I came back and I paid you the loan with the plus $11 interest. He says, yeah, but sir, you're worth $500 million. Why'd you do all that? He says, you think I got rich spending money frivolously? I'm about to blunder the whole punchline after all that setup. He says, you think I got rich spending money frivolously? Where else in Manhattan can you park your car for 30 days for $11? Anyways, that's called collateral. People who they tell Hashem, yeah, well, after I have all my pleasure and I have all my taivas in this world, then I'm going to get started on that bitachon thing, right? Okay, so they're called balei hamashkoinos, that they want to have a mashkoin. They want to have basically, they're setting terms with Hashem. They're telling him, I'll have bitachon, but only after I feel that I'm taken care of. When I have my ducks in a row, then I'll start bitachon. So Rabenu Bachaye doesn't like that. Okay. Yeah, so somebody sent me a private chat. Thank you. He says, this somewhat contradicts the story of the Tzemach Tzedek and the Chassid you told at the end of the last class. Yeah, I was thinking about that as well. And I wasn't going to bring it up, but you did. But you did it in a private chat, so I appreciate that. Because because he didn't want to make problems. But I did think about this, actually. So I'll tell you something. There's a difference between saying, I'm not going to start having bitachon until certain conditions are met, and being honest and saying, look, I'm going to start now. I'm ready to start now. But, sometimes you have to give the nefesh habahamis, you have to give the animal soul a little comfort, It's like why we serve matzah ball soup at the Shabbos table, and we invite people to experience Shabbos. Really, what's Shabbos? Shabbos isn't matzah ball soup. It's a spiritual thing. But the matzah ball soup gets the animal soul there, and then the animal soul brings the body, and then they get to experience the spirituality of it. So if it's a condition and you're saying, no, Hashem, I'm not ready to start working on bitachon until you prove something to me by putting money in my account, that's we don't set terms with Hashem. That's chutzpah. But in the story, it was more like, yeah, I'm ready to start now. But you know what would take the edge off? It would make me less distracted so I could focus on learning. I could learn about bitachon if I wouldn't have things I have to take care of. By the way, what's that similar to? It's similar to the whole reason that Rambam gives that when Mashiach comes, that we'll have prosperity, we'll have abundance. He says, do you think that we're waiting for Mashiach so that we can sip pina coladas, that we could, all of a sudden have, material abundance? That's not what we care about. The point is, when there's material abundance, then we'll be free to focus on learning Torah and connecting to Hashem. Okay, anyways, thank you for bringing that up. And anyone else who has good questions, send them in the chat. And if I can't handle it, I'll just ignore it. It's fine, don't worry. It won't disrupt, it'll only add. Okay, and Hashvi, the seventh thing, b'mafsidei habitachon b'Elokim, factors that inhibit trust in Hashem, v'chol ma shetzarich ledaber be'inyan habitachon elekatze b'chalakiv, and then a summation of the whole topic about bitachon and a brief survey of its various aspects or parts. And that is an overview, an index, so to speak, of the forthcoming chapters. Okay, so let's do, we're ready to start chapter 1. But before we do so, I want to share something with everybody before we get started with chapter 1. Very exciting, we're about to start chapter 1. This is a letter that is printed in the Igros Kodesh, and it is letter 7,887. This, what you're seeing, is a copy of the original, meaning not the way that it looks in the Igros, but the way that it was received by the one to whom the Rebbe wrote the letter, which you see there, it says to Mendel Shiachia, which is Mendel Shem Tov, Olav Shalom. And I'm very, very grateful. His family trusted me with this letter. I mean, it's been out before. It's not a secret, but that they gave me the copy of the original and allowed me to share it, which I think it's definitely inspired me. In fact, if I can share this with you, one of my main inspirations for doing this class was this letter. So now you'll see it as well. A little bit of the background that Mendel Shem Tov at this time, I think he was 19 years old, and he had been diagnosed with some serious health problems, and he was shaken up about it, and he wrote to the Rebbe about it. So the Rebbe's response is, first, the Rebbe says, I'm taken aback by your nefilas ruach, by your low spirits. And the Rebbe tells him, first of all, a natural way of pursuing a cure, he said, or treatment. He tells him, do according to what the 2 expert doctors tell you to do, and then strengthen your bitachon in Hashem, and he will certainly return you to your strength. You see here what the Rebbe adds in the Ksav Yad Kodshe, Rebbe's holy handwriting. Melernt. We learn and we learn. Und als se kommt lepoil, But when it comes to actuality, the actual practical issues, Wo is der Bitachon? Where is the trust? In other words, you're learning Torah, you're learning about Hashem, and you have all these beautiful ideas, but it's too abstract. And what's the proof? That when you have a challenge in life, like in this case, the negative medical diagnosis, now all of a sudden it's shaking you up. Where's the Bitachon? You know, we spoke about this in the very first class, that Ramban's mashal about the tree and the fruits. That people can believe in Hashem, that's like a tree, but not necessarily trust in Hashem, which is like the fruits. If you see a tree, it doesn't necessarily have fruits, but if you see fruits, it always comes from a tree. So someone who believes in Hashem doesn't necessarily trust, but if he trusts, that came from belief. And that's sort of like the difference here between melant and melant. That's the belief in Hashem, knowing about Hashem, presumably not just learning the revealed aspects of Torah, Gemara, Shulchan Aruch, but also even Panimius HaTorah, where in Chassidus it explains things about Elokus, about godliness. But even that's not enough. Melant to melant, it has to come down to practicality. And practicality means that when a person has a challenge in life, that he reacts to it differently because of his belief. That his belief actually is translated into trust. And then the Rebbe continues, as far as I guess advice, practically how to start to attain this more practical trust. The Rebbe says, Yilmaid Gimel Daled Pamim Shaar HaBitachon HaLevavos. He should study 3 or 4 times Shaar HaBitachon in Chovos HaLevavos. Kemuvan, and it's understood, she'ein kavanasi she'yilmaid zeh b'pam achas. I don't mean you should sit and read it, rattle it off like Tikkun Leil Shavuos. That's not what I'm saying. Ella b'meshech eze Shavuos. He should cover it in the course of a few weeks. So that was my inspiration, that we should have a class where we learn Shaar HaBitachon in the course of a few weeks. So Baruch Hashem, we're doing it. All right. Let's start now. Chapter 1. Chapter 1 is very, very short. Perigramid, chapter 1. Remember, Rabenu Bachaye said chapter 1 is about what is Bitachon? What is this thing called Bitachon? Okay. Ach mohus HaBitachon. But the concept of Bitachon, the essence of Bitachon, Hi menuchas nefesh habeiteach. It is the tranquility of the one who trusts. V'shiyia libay samoch al mi shabatach alav. And his heart's reliance upon the one that he's trusting in. Shiyasa hatay v'hanachin lai, that person or that entity will do what is good and fitting for him. Be'inyan in whatever it is that he's relying on him for. Right now he's just speaking about in general. He's not saying specifically, exclusively trusting in Hashem. He's saying anytime you trust in anyone. According to the one you're trusting in's ability to deliver. Vidaita, and according to his understanding of what it is that's good for you. B'mashe mefik tevase, what would be considered good for you. So that's Bitachon. And let's just say in simple English, Bitachon is that you're relaxed, that you're able to breathe. He calls it menuchas hanefesh. He calls it a libay that is samuch, that is a heart that relies. It's a feeling. Bitachon is a feeling of tranquility, a feeling that everything is okay, everything is taken care of. Why? Because I'm relying on someone who is reliable. That's what it means. I'm relying on someone who is reliable. You know about the rabbi who gets up every week, he says his sermon, and there's this one guy, Yankel, always falls asleep in the drasha. He always falls asleep. So one week, the rabbi gets up, He gets up to the bima, he starts his drasha, and he looks, and Yankel's already asleep. He says, Yankel, I didn't even start yet, and you're already asleep. He says, Rabbi, I trust you, I trust you. Okay. Trust means I can rely on you. I know that you're going to deliver. You are dependable. You are reliable. Like in Yellowstone National Park, they have Old Faithful. Old Faithful is a geyser. It always blows its water, its steam at the same time. It's dependable. It's reliable. Okay? And therefore, I relax. I have tranquility. That's bitachon. Okay. Avala ikir asher ba'avurei yia bitachon min habeiteach. But what lies at the root of his trust and gives rise to it? V'im yipoked lo yamatza bitachon, and if it's missing, there will not be bitachon. Like, what's the secret behind the bitachon? We said what the bitachon is. What's the secret behind it? Hu sheyalibay batuach b'mi sheyivtach bei sheyokim ma she'omer v'yaseh ma she'aref. It's that his heart is confident and secure. He knows that the person is going to do what he said he's going to do. You have to know, not just that this person wants to do good, not just this person said they're going to do good, but that they're reliable, that they can do what they said and they will do what they said. And on that basis is bitachon. Now, he's not even speaking yet about having bitachon in Hashem. Later on, we're going to go through all the different scenarios and possibilities of placing our bitachon in various different people or entities or forces and powers, and we'll figure out. The Rabenu Bachaye will bring us to it logically where we had best place our bitachon. Okay. And he continues. V'yachshev alav hatoiv b'mashaloi hisnaloi v'loi orev asayhu shiasehu nidava v'chesed. And that he has in mind, meaning the person you're trusting in has in mind, to benefit him, to benefit the person who's having the trust, even in what he did not commit himself to, and what he did not undertake to do, out of pure grace and kindness. In other words, one of the things that the person or the entity, the force, the power that I trust in has to have, not just that it's going to do something it says it's going to do, but to have my full trust, so I can really have that menuchas hanefesh, I have to know he'll over-deliver. He'll over-deliver. That even what he didn't promise, he's going to do even more than that. Why? Because he has my benefit as a priority. Now, I'll just finish off with one concept here tonight, and that is this idea of nidava v'chesed, generosity or magnanimous kindness. The Maharal in Nesivas Olam, specifically in the Nesiva Bitachon, which has ideas that are obviously applicable here to Shaar HaBitachon, the Maharal speaks a little bit about this idea, about Hashem's nidava v'chesed. He doesn't use those exact words, but the idea of Hashem being kind so that he'll over-deliver. There's a pasuk in the Navi Yeshayahu, Bitchu v'Hashem adiyad, trust in Hashem forever and ever, ki b'yudkei Hashem tzur eilamim, for in Yudkei, the Lord, you have an everlasting rock. So he explains like this. A person might think, who am I to assume that Hashem is going to do kindness for me? I'm not worthy. I don't deserve it. So he says, listen, it's not about you. Well, what if I'm worthy of punishment? What if I've earned the opposite? It's not about you. Hashem is kind. Like the Rabenu Bachaye says, Nedava v'chesed. And therefore, Bitchu v'Hashem adiyad, trust in Hashem always. Always means in every case. Whether you think you deserve it or you earned it, or you think you don't deserve it, or you didn't earn it. Why? Because ki b'yud ke Hashem tzurei lamim. Yud ke, Yud and He, we know that Hashem created the two worlds, Elam Hazeh and Elam Haba, from those two letters of his name. What does this mean? It means that since Hashem created the whole world, and he controls the whole world, he can do as he sees fit. And therefore, he's not limited. He's not compelled to follow any rules that he doesn't want to follow, and he can be overly generous. It's not as if he says to you, I'm sorry, what can I do? There's a policy over here and you don't deserve my kindness. No, Hashem can be overly kind. He can do even more than promised. Now, from the point of view of Chassidus, we go even further than that. And we say that Bitachon has power to elicit Hashem's kindness even when maybe, we don't deserve it. And how is that? What is that like? That's a hack? That's like exploiting the system, or it's a workaround, or finding a bug in the system, or a price glitch, right? Okay, so I want to recommend to everybody to learn a sikha in Perigramid Vav of Likutei Sichos. It's the first sikha in Perigramid Vav, and over there, it really elaborates in a very rich way on the whole sugya of bitachon. But I'll just tell you one thing that it says over there. I'm sure we've heard the statement, Trach gut verzeihen gut. This comes from a chassid of the Tzemach Tzedek, whose son was in grave danger, and the chassid went to the Tzemach Tzedek, and the chassid didn't even think he should bother going to Lubavitch because the doctors already said the son wasn't going to make it, and he got there, and the Tzemach Tzedek told him, Tracht gut verzeihen gut. If you think good, it will be good. And he got home, and his son miraculously had recovered. So, in this sikha, the Rebbe explains like this. What does it mean, think good, it will be good? There's some type of, like a workaround, like a hack. What's going on here? So, the Rebbe explains like this. You're going to say, well, hold on, I don't really deserve the kindness, and then I'm going to think good, and it's like a trick that it's going to make things end up working out a certain way. It's not a trick. It's not a trick at all. Hashem tzilcha, like David HaMelech says. And the Baal Shem Tov elaborates, Hashem is your shadow. Hashem works reciprocally. When you act as if you are going to see revealed good, even when you don't deserve it, that itself is a kli. That itself is a vessel for allowing Hashem to act that way toward you. So it's not a trick. It's actually, it's legitimate work. You think it's so easy to be tranquil and to be positive and to let go and just to feel totally helped already before you see your deliverance? That's not easy. It's a lot of work. So it's not a trick. It's legitimate work. And when we'll do that work, it's mental work, it's emotional work, and we think good, then we allow Hashem to do good for us, even if we don't necessarily deserve it. But in the merit of thinking good, the work that we put into getting ourselves into that mental space and emotional space, that's enough for Hashem to deliver the goodness. Okay, that is the end of chapter 1. With Hashem's help, we will continue tomorrow night with chapter 2. Thank you so much to everybody.